everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to go over the process of making a GIF. Yes, I said GIF, I know that it is GIF, but I still say GIF, so just bear with me. The first thing you need to make sure that you have is a video that is an MP4 format so that it can be imported into Photoshop. I'm not going to go over how to do that in this video, but I may do that in a future video. Now what you need to do once you have your file, you need to go up to File, and you need to import that video frames to layers. Okay, so I'm just going to choose one that I like and then open it up, and this box should pop up. Now when this box pops up, you need to choose what part of the scene or the video that you want to use within your GIF. Sometimes when I'm making a whole set, I'll just use the entire thing and then just hit OK, but it only goes to about 500 frames. So by dragging this bottom part, I can see the video, and what I can also do is limit the amount that is going to be imported into Photoshop. And by playing it, I can see if I've got the scene that I want, but it looks like it's kind of lagging a little bit, so we'll try viewing it one more time. So it looks to be about the scene that I want. I might drag this over just a little bit because I can delete it later if I want to. So now it's going to import the video into Photoshop, and if you're going to put this on Tumblr, you need to make sure that the width is a max of 500 if you're going to do one image across the whole thing, or if you're going to have two GIFs side by side, then it needs to be 245 in width. Now I'm going to go up to Image, and I'm going to size it. And usually I actually change the height. I don't usually mess with the width, because the height, if I was to do 245, it would make it really, really short, and I don't want it that short. So I usually do somewhere around 180. Okay, but obviously that makes this way too long. So when I zoom in, I can hold Alt when I'm on crop and just put it to 245 by still keeping it in the center of the layer, and then hit enter, and now it's 245 by 180, which makes it a nice size. Now if you look down here, this is where I can start deleting some of the layers and the frames. So I'm going to delete those two, and then just play it to see if I have what I need. I don't want it to be too long, because if it's too long it will not upload to Tumblr. So right here I see the switch in the frame, so I'm going to delete this portion out. And I also saw that at the beginning as well. It switches over right here. So we'll probably just keep this area. And I do slow it down almost every time, just by, what is that, 0.02, just to make the GIF move a little bit slower. Okay, now that we have that, what we'll do is come down here and we are going to convert to video timeline. Okay, then we need to come over here and merge all of these layers so we only have one single layer to work with. So I highlight the top one, scroll to the bottom, filter, and convert for smart filters, and drag this all the way back to the beginning. Okay, I always filter, sharpen, and smart sharpen, and use these settings, 500 and 0.3, and make sure to click more accurate. Then hit OK. Then I come over to my actions and I use a topaz action. I'm sure if you looked up this person right here, you could find this exact action. It is fantastic. It just does a really good job of adding in that topaz effect. So as you can see, it's a little bit sharpened, but it's also smoothed. Now the next and the most important part is the coloring. This is the coloring that I use on every single GIF. Now obviously I adjust the adjustment layers as needed, but this is pretty much what I use on every single one. So I go down here and I will choose levels. I change this part to 10, which makes it a little bit darker, and the middle to about 1.3, and that makes it lighter. Now it doesn't look any different really, maybe a little lighter, but it really changes when you change the blending to screen. So it's a lot brighter now, maybe too bright, which is why we're going to come up and choose vibrance and make it 100, but we're going to blend it and change it to soft light. which keeps it bright but also brings out that contrast and those darker colors within it. So already look how different the color is. Now sometimes I'll drag it along so that I can see the different faces, especially Cass's face. We want to make sure his looks the nicest. So sometimes I'll drag this around just to make sure that I'm getting the colors I want. Then I'm going to go to selective color. And I usually only use the reds and yellows. So his face might be a little too red, so I might go over just like 3 or so. And then maybe adjust the yellows. I don't usually adjust magenta. And then with the blacks, I'm actually going to bring it down into the negatives just to make it a little bit lighter. His face is a little bit too dark. Okay, now I'm going to do selective color with yellows. Okay, which doesn't do a lot, but you can see the background changing just a little bit. And I'll just lighten that up as well. Okay, I'm going to use the blacks. And I don't usually use any of the other ones except for just black on this one. And about 3. Just brings in some of that darker color. So if we look at the difference before, it's already a lot lighter, which is really nice. I like to add in a little bit of brightness, maybe about 10, and then some contrast, probably about 10 as well. And it's starting to look really good. Sometimes I'll go in, depending on the pictures, and add in some color balance, but this one looks pretty good so far, so I'll probably just leave it as is. And that will be my coloring. Now, when you add in text, these are the settings that I use. I use Calibri. I use a font at 12, sometimes 13. Okay, I usually space it around 20 and use yellow or white. Sometimes I'll add in blue or orange or green depending on if there's multiple characters in it. But I usually use yellow. And also make sure that it's bolded and italicized. So I'm just going to click somewhere in there. And he was saying, "You don't understand. I need pie." So if you don't watch Supernatural, this literally will mean nothing to you. So I apologize. But all of us really like this scene. Now, I probably went a little bit too fast there, so let me go back. I can't see the text really well. So what I'm going to do is double click on that layer. If it will work. There we go. I'm going to choose stroke and change the stroke to 2 and hit OK. So that looks a lot better so far. Now if you are like me and you're a little bit neurotic, you might want to select the entire layer, go to layer, and align the selection to horizontal center so that it's evenly spaced. Then I'll move it up a few just so it's not sitting on the bottom. Now if you look down here, this is a problem. This needs to be lined up with those layers or else your text will disappear or your video will disappear. But at that point, you're pretty much done. If you want, you can play it and see what it looks like. The first time you play it, it usually will go pretty slow. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice. If you wanted the text to disappear, you could just shorten the frames. Okay, but usually I keep mine throughout the entire thing. Now, to save it for the web, you need to go up to File and Save for Web. This box will pop up. Always come over here to Looping Options and click Forever. That way it goes on forever and ever and doesn't stop and freeze on the last frame. This GIF might have been a little bit too large for Tumblr. Okay, I usually try to keep mine less than 1.5 meg, but sometimes it works. You never know. And then you save. And this is my one from earlier when I was not using the microphone and had to redo the entire thing, so we'll just save over that and replace it. And that's all you have to do. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on YouTube or on Tumblr. Definitely check out my blog, sunnyedge.tumblr.com. I have lots of GIFs, edits, and graphics up. And so if there's ever anything you see on there that you want a tutorial on, just feel free to let me know. Alright, thanks. Have a great day.